Bonjour, ça va? Guten Tag, wie geht's? Hello and g'day for all those down under. Here we are in La Sable d'Olonne, and it's a cracking day. Sun is shining. It was 5 degrees in the walk-in this morning, so it was a bit chilly, but hopefully it will warm up by lunchtime. And I'm doing the report for Don, who's on the road at the moment. So for those that know cricket, I'm the night watchman, the dodgy batsman that comes in at the end of the day to get to stumps without a disaster. So see how we go. We're aiming for no disasters. So the situation at the moment is we've got a GGR with three competitors still in the GGR, three in Chichester class, and of the three in the GGR, we've got Kirsten, Abalash, and Captain Goog. And in the Chichester class, we've got Simon, Jeremy, and Ian. And interestingly, we've also got Guy Waits, who had two stops, so he's out of the race, rounded Cape Horn yesterday. So that's another exciting thing. Also of great interest is if you want to look here at the tracker, I note this little blue boat right up near the end here. I'll just zoom in a little bit. And we've got Jean-Luc Vandenheed in Matmut. And Jean-Luc has been, track's been superimposed over this race using his 2018 course and speed and time. And he has got not very far to go. Here we go. He's been doing 5.3 knots and come on, pop up 146 nautical miles to go. So he's about a day or a day and a bit away from La Sable. So we'll be expecting him arriving at about lunchtime tomorrow. What a fantastic trip that was. Getting back to today's world, and we'll just come down here. And I might just zoom back out a little. And we've got a line, a mixture between the GGR and the Chichester class. We've got a line with Kirsten, Simon, and Abalash. It's like a start of a yacht race, really, isn't it? They've just come out of the doldrums. And interestingly, you can see the doldrums there heading over from the African coast in a sort of a southwest or west-southwest direction towards the coast of South America. And the thing about the doldrums is statistically, it's sort of wider in the east and narrower in the west. But also in the north here, you've got the northeast trades. I'll just come back down a bit so you can see. And that's sort of like the North Atlantic high, which actually means that the breeze is generally more from the north in the eastern part of the North Atlantic, and it sort of moves more to the northeast, east-northeast, and even sometimes to the east over in the west. So what that means is crossing the doldrums is a bit of a lottery. You can come through to the east. It's a shorter path, and it gets you to windward. However, you might have headwinds, or it might be more ahead when you come through. If you head over to the west, you've firstly got to clear the coast of South America, but the doldrums might be narrower, and the wind might have backed around a little bit and be more from the northeast or the east-northeast. And that's exactly what's happening. So we've got Kirsten here, 4.7 knots, 301. In the last 24 hours, she's done only 30 nautical miles. And you can see she's almost pointing directly at Simon. She's really had a slower trip through the doldrums. It's been wider and the wind's more ahead. So she's pointing down, which is exactly as described. Simon here in the middle doing 335 at 5.1 knots. So he's heading higher and going faster. And then Abalash, in Bayonet is doing 6.4 knots, so he's rocketing along 340. So he's doing very well. So he's got slightly further to sail, and he's down to leeward, but he's got more breeze and a better breeze angle. So at the moment, the leaderboard is Kirsten, then Abalash, but I think Abalash is in a more favourable position. Simon, who's not in it because he's Chichester, is actually in a commanding position there in the middle, and is doing well, and is to weather. So he's in a very good position. Just moving down here, we've got Captain Goog, and Captain Goog's been going very well in the last week. He's been catching the leaders because they've been slowed down in the doldrums. But now he's entered the same type of situation, and you can see he's doing 2.2 knots at 300 and only made 39 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So he's slowed down. It's the elastic game. It's sort of like getting caught in traffic and people come up behind you, but then you get out the front and away you go. So that type of scenario. It looks like the doldrums are pretty narrow here, but also from ahead. But if we just look forward, you'll actually see widens a bit. So I think Captain Googie's there for a few days. If he's lucky, he will get through. He's to the west, so they're generally narrower, and the wind angle is better when he comes out. So I suspect he'll be there for a couple of days. But there's a little bit of breeze there, certainly forecast. The problem is these forecasts in the doldrums aren't that accurate, because you've got the southeast trades coming up from below in the southern hemisphere, the northeast trades coming in the northern hemisphere, and the doldrums is where they collide and the air ascends. So it's a bit of an iffy area. Okay, let's just move back down here a little. And we've got Jeremy. And Jeremy has been doing 3.7 knots at the moment, 020. So he's sailed into a little bit of a hole. Second in Chichester class, 94 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So he's been going quite well. There seems to be a bit of something going on behind him. Oops, sorry, I better turn that back. So there we go. So that's Jeremy now. He's in that hole. And as the weather develops, it's coming forward a day. Okay, headwinds, light. Okay, so that storm's going to head south of him, and he's actually got some quite light breezes. It's going all over the place. So he's sort of almost still in the horse latitudes, isn't he? Because he's not really in the southeast trades over here. And it's very changeable. So this is the change between the two. And you've got this big low coming through that band there. We move further south, and we've got Ian. Ian's here. Let's move the weather back to today. So he's got norwesterly. He's heading out to the northeast, which you'd expect. Plenty of breeze around. But what happens to Ian? Okay, so it's going to swing to the north. So he's going to keep going, northerly, quite fresh northerlies, northeasterlies. So he's going to keep pushing out to the east. He's going to have up to 30 knots there. So he's going to have to snug it down, whatever, and will be pushing out to the east until that wind backs around and enables him to move more to the north. So that's the team. I'd just like to have a bit of a shout out to Guy at the moment. If we look here, this is just Guy on his tracker, and he's coming up to near where Ian was. Ian was sitting up over here in a little caldera, and Guy's actually coming up here. Let's just zoom out a little here. So we can see Cape Horn's down here. He's coming up in the shelter here, and there's Lemaire Strait and Isla de los Estados. What's he doing? Well, if we just go back to the weather, we can see, and we'll go back to today, we can see there's a fair bit of northerlies around here, and it would be quite hard to come through Lemaire Strait or out the end here. You get a bit of a hiding. But as time goes on, you will see The wind's going to go back around to the west. It's quite fresh, but he's got a bit of protection here. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you can see it's quite light. So lots of wind around the Horn and off the coast here, but a bit of a shadow around here. And then a northerly again, and then a westerly. So it's all sorts, really mixed bag. But at the moment, I suspect he's been waiting for daylight and for the northerly wind to back around to the west and probably the tides, and he's probably going to go up through Lemaire Strait, which would be a pretty wise thing to do. Anyway, he's just here. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my poor attempt at standing in as the night watchman, and we look forward to John Luke's virtual arrival tomorrow. It's not really happening. That's just his 2018 results, but that sort of gives you a bracket of compared to the last race. Of course, the course was a little different. The 2018 this race had to go via Trinidad Island in the South Atlantic, and also via Cape Town. So that slowed everyone down a little bit as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned, and see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. Now, which button do I need to close this down?